Is your morning ritual that first cup of coffee? Coffee does not just boost alertness, metabolism, and dopamine. Not like before. This morning, you need to listen closely to this. What if I told you that adding just a few simple natural ingredients to that same cup could fundamentally transform it? It could turn it from a basic wake-up drink into a kind of tonic that sustains energy, optimizes blood flow powerfully. It can triple antioxidant activity, stabilize blood sugar, strengthen the gut lining, reduce markers of inflammation, improve brain signaling, and even increase fat burning far beyond what coffee can do on its own. But here is what shocked researchers the most. Some powders interact with coffee polyphenols in a way that creates completely new metabolic compounds. Inflammation markers drop, and some powders even activate a lesser-known metabolic pathway called AMPK, often referred to as the longevity switch. When older adults in a Stanford review added these powders to their coffee every day, researchers saw improvements in energy, digestion, mental clarity, and metabolic flexibility. However, one powder stood out above all the others. Its effects were so strong that researchers repeated the experiment 3 times to make sure the results were not a mistake. Every time, the same thing happened. Coffee alone improved metabolism. But coffee plus this one powder triggered a biochemical response so powerful that scientists said it could redefine how we understand morning beverages in adults over 60. In this video, we will reveal 4 powders that turn regular coffee into a metabolic powerhouse. Number 3 is the most powerful. Stay with us to discover. Lion's Mane Mushroom Powder, a nerve growth stimulator that reverses brain aging. Creatine monohydrate, a cellular energy booster that protects your brain like armor. Glycine powder, a longevity molecule that turns back your biological clock. Ceylon Cinnamon stabilizes blood sugar. All references are listed in the description below. Before we begin, please hit that like button. Leave a comment telling me where you are watching from, and subscribe so you do not miss important health information designed specifically for seniors. I will read all the comments. All right, now let me share what you need to know. Now, get ready for number 1. It involves a powder that literally grows new brain cells. Lion's Mane Mushroom Powder, a nerve growth stimulator that reverses brain aging. Japanese researchers at Tuca University discovered something extraordinary about lion's mane that fundamentally changed how we think about brain aging. When they gave older adults with mild cognitive impairment 3 grams of lion's mane powder per day in their morning drink for 16 weeks. Their cognitive function not only improved by an average of 12 points on standardized tests, but MRA scans showed actual regeneration of nerve cells in areas of the brain that are usually devastated by aging. This is not some mystical claim. Lion's mane contains 2 unique compounds called herosinones and adenosine that are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier and directly stimulate the production of nerve growth factor. Basically, it forces your brain to create new nerve cells and repair damaged ones. When you add lion's mane powder to coffee, caffeine actually increases the absorption of these neurotrophic compounds by increasing blood flow to the brain by up to 30%. This creates what researchers at the University of Queensland call a neuroplasticity window, where your brain becomes highly responsive to learning and forming new neural connections. A double-blind study from Japan involving 50 adults ages 50 to 80 found that those who drank lion's mane coffee daily for 12 weeks improved their scores on memory tests by 23%, pattern recognition by 31%, and most remarkably increased hippocampal volume on brain scans, literally growing the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. The mechanism is completely fascinating. Lion's mane activates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor and nerve growth factor, which act like fertilizer for brain cells, but it also reduces brain inflammation by inhibiting the production of inflammatory cells that commonly build up with age and stress. You need to use a dual-extracted lion's mane powder, meaning it has been processed with both hot water and alcohol to pull out both water-soluble and fat-soluble compounds. Because using regular dried mushroom powder may give you only 10% of the active ingredients. Add 1 to 2 teaspoons of dual-extracted lion's mane powder to your coffee after brewing once the coffee has cooled to around 160 degrees Fahrenheit, because higher temperatures can denature some of the fragile nerve growth factors. The powder has a slightly sweet, savory flavor that many people describe as similar to seafood or lobster, which pairs surprisingly well with the bitterness of coffee, creating a rich, umami-like depth that many people actually prefer to regular coffee. For maximum cognitive benefits, research suggests drinking lion's mane coffee in the morning on an empty stomach or 30 minutes before any learning activity, because the neuroplasticity effect peaks about 90 minutes after consumption and stays elevated for 4 to 6 hours. The optimal dose based on clinical trials is 2 to 3 grams of extract per day, which is about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons. And most people report noticing improved mental clarity and focus within 7 to 14 days, with memory improvements becoming obvious after 4 to 6 weeks. Quality matters. Look for organic lion's mane powder that specifies it contains at least 30% polysaccharides and 15% beta-glucans, because these are the key active compounds, and avoid products that do not list their extraction method or compound ratios. Some people experience what researchers call an awakening phase in the first week, where you may feel slightly spacey or have vivid dreams as your brain builds new neural pathways. But this usually passes quickly and is actually a sign the mushroom is working. Get ready for the next powder, which most people think is only for bodybuilders, but actually has shocking effects on brain health and longevity. Get ready to discover something even more powerful as we move to number 2. Creatine monohydrate, the cellular energy booster that protects your brain like armor. The medical community was completely stunned when a landmark study from the University of Sydney revealed that vegetarians who simply added 5 grams of creatine to their morning routine improved their average IQ by 15 points and boosted their working memory by 40% in just 6 weeks. Not from going to the gym, but from increasing cellular energy for their brain cells. Creatine is not just for muscles. Your brain uses 20% of your body's total energy, even though it is only 2% of your body weight. And creatine is actually the fast energy currency your neurons use to fire properly, think clearly, and form memories. When you add creatine to coffee, something remarkable happens that researchers at the University of Chichester have just discovered. Caffeine actually enhances creatine uptake into brain tissue by 28% through increasing cerebral blood flow, while creatine completely eliminates the energy crash often associated with caffeine by maintaining stable ATP levels in your neurons. But more importantly, it protects brain cells from excitotoxicity, the process where overstimulated neurons literally burn themselves out from too much activity. But here is the shocking part that almost no one talks about. Creatine in coffee has been shown to reduce depression symptoms by up to 52% in treatment-resistant cases, with researchers at the University of Utah finding that it works by energizing mitochondria in brain cells that often function poorly in people with depression. The neuroprotective effects are just as impressive, with studies showing people with higher brain creatine levels have up to 60% less damage from traumatic brain injury and significantly faster recovery after concussions, acting like a cellular airbag for your neurons. To use creatine in coffee properly, you need to understand that creatine monohydrate, the most studied form with over 6,000 studies, does not dissolve well in liquid. So you will need to stir it thoroughly into hot coffee, where it suspends better than in cold liquids. Add 5 grams, which is about 1 teaspoon, to your morning coffee. And here is a pro tip. Add it to coffee with a little milk or cream because the fat content helps absorption and masks the slightly gritty texture that some people find unpleasant. Creatine works through saturation, meaning you need to take it daily for about 4 weeks to fully saturate muscle and brain tissue. Then you maintain that level with a daily dose. Unlike other supplements you feel immediately, creatine is cumulative. But most people report noticing improved mental stamina and less brain fog after about 7 to 10 days, with full cognitive benefits appearing after 3 to 4 weeks. Timing matters less than consistency. In the first week, some people do a loading phase of 20 grams per day divided into 4 doses to saturate faster. But research shows this is unnecessary and can cause digestive issues and temporary water retention. The quality of creatine is very important. Look for Crepure, a German-made creatine monohydrate that has been tested for purity and does not contain the contaminants found in cheaper Chinese creatine that can cause stomach problems and headaches. One important note about creatine coffee. You may gain 2 to 4 pounds in the first 2 weeks, but this is not fat. It is water being pulled into your muscle cells along with creatine, which actually improves hydration and cellular function. You can also get creatine through food, such as certain red meats and fish, especially beef, salmon, and tuna. Get ready for the number 3 powder that will completely revolutionize not just your mornings, but also potentially add years to your life. Number 1. Glycine powder, the longevity molecule that turns back your biological clock. Scientists at the National Institute on Aging made a discovery about glycine that shattered everything we thought we knew about aging when they gave older adults just 3 grams of this simple amino acid before bed. Their sleep quality did not just improve by 60%, their cells began producing collagen at a rate usually seen in people under 30. Their inflammation markers dropped by 45%. And most shockingly, their telomeres actually lengthened, a biological marker of cellular youth that we did not think could be naturally reversed. Get glycine from bone broth, organ meats, and collagen-rich cuts of meat that we rarely eat today. When you add glycine to your morning coffee, you are basically giving your body a missing link needed for more than 100 critical processes. From building glutathione, your master antioxidant, to creating creatine naturally, to most importantly, activating a process called autophagy, where your cells actually clear damaged proteins and renew themselves. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that glycine supplementation literally reverses vascular aging, with participants showing improvements in arterial flexibility equivalent to being 12 to 15 years younger after just 12 weeks of supplementation. But here is what is truly remarkable. Glycine in morning coffee has a unique effect, where it delivers calm mental clarity without sedation, working through NMDA receptors in your brain to enhance focus and learning while reducing anxiety and the jittery effects of caffeine. A study from the Sleep Research Society found that people who took glycine had 50% deeper sleep, the restorative stage where your brain clears toxic proteins like beta amyloid that drive Alzheimer's disease. And they woke up feeling more refreshed rather than groggy, despite sleeping the same number of hours. The collagen production benefits are just as shocking. Glycine makes up 33% of collagen. And studies show that taking 10 grams of glycine per day increases collagen synthesis by up to 200%, with noticeable improvements in skin elasticity, joint flexibility, and wound healing speed that typically decline significantly with age. For your morning coffee, add 3 to 5 grams of glycine powder, about 1 teaspoon, directly into your hot coffee where it dissolves instantly and completely, adding a subtle sweetness with no sugar or calories. Because glycine is the only amino acid that actually tastes sweet rather than bitter or salty. The timing strategy is very important. Drink 3 to 5 grams in your morning coffee for energy and mental clarity. Then add 5 grams in the evening in decaf coffee or tea for sleep and recovery benefits, because glycine has different effects depending on when you take it due to your circadian rhythm. Quality matters, but it is simpler than other supplements. Pure glycine powder is just glycine. So look for pharmaceutical-grade powder, or USP, that has been tested for heavy metals and contaminants, and avoid products with fillers, flavoring, or other amino acids mixed in. Start with 3 grams in the first week to assess tolerance. Even though glycine is so safe that studies have used up to 60 grams per day without side effects, then increase to 10 grams per day split between morning and evening for optimal longevity benefits. Most people notice improved sleep quality within 3 days, better skin and reduced joint pain within 2 weeks, and deeper anti-aging effects like improved resilience, sharper mental clarity, and higher energy levels usually become clear after 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use. The synergy with coffee is especially powerful because coffee consumption has already been linked to longevity, and glycine appears to enhance the benefits of coffee while removing some of its drawbacks, such as anxiety and sleep disruption. Research from the University of California shows that glycine plus coffee creates a unique metabolic state in which fat burning increases by 32%, while muscle protein synthesis improves by 28%. Number 4. Ceylon Cinnamon, the blood sugar stabilizer that turns your coffee into medicine. Scientists at the University of California made a shocking discovery about Ceylon Cinnamon to the point that they initially thought their equipment was malfunctioning. When they tested blood sugar response in people who simply added half a teaspoon of cinnamon to their morning coffee, They found it reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 29% and improved insulin sensitivity by nearly 20% in just 40 days. This is not the regular cinnamon you find in grocery stores, which can actually be harmful in large doses due to its high content. Ceylon cinnamon, also known as true cinnamon, contains virtually untraceable levels of coumarin, and instead is packed with powerful compounds called procyanidins that act like a natural version of metformin, the diabetes drug. What makes Ceylon cinnamon in coffee especially fascinating is a phenomenon researchers call the infiltration effect, where the polyphenols in coffee actually increase the bioavailability of cinnamon's active compounds by up to 300% compared to taking cinnamon alone. A breakthrough study from the American Diabetes Association followed 343 adults with prediabetes for 90 days and found that those who added 1 gram of Ceylon cinnamon to their morning coffee not only stabilized blood sugar, but also actually reversed. But here is the part that is truly shocking and most people do not know. Ceylon cinnamon in coffee creates what researchers call a metabolic window that lasts up to 12 hours, meaning your body continues to burn fat more efficiently throughout the day, with one study showing resting metabolic rate increased by 17%. The anti-inflammatory effect is just as impressive, with research from a pharmaceutical journal showing that Ceylon cinnamon reduced C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker, by up to 32% when consumed daily in coffee for 8 weeks. To make Ceylon cinnamon coffee correctly for maximum benefits, you need to add 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of finely ground Ceylon cinnamon powder directly into the coffee grounds before brewing, which allows the hot water to extract the fat-soluble compounds that will not dissolve if you simply stir it into brewed coffee. If you are using a French press or pour-over method, this works perfectly. But for a drip coffee maker, you can make a concentrated cinnamon coffee by simmering 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon in 8 ounces of water for 10 minutes, then straining it and adding it to your regular coffee. Timing matters. Research shows that drinking cinnamon coffee 15 to 20 minutes before the first meal of the day will maximize the blood sugar stabilizing effect and can reduce your glucose response to breakfast by up to 40%. Quality is absolutely critical here because most cinnamon sold in stores is cassia cinnamon from China or Indonesia, which contains 1,200 times more coumarin than Ceylon cinnamon from Sri Lanka, and consuming more than 1 teaspoon of cassia per day can cause liver damage. Look for Ceylon cinnamon labeled from Sri Lanka, which is tan rather than the reddish brown of cassia, and has a sweeter, more complex flavor that truly enhances coffee instead of making it harsh or bitter. The optimal therapeutic dose based on clinical trials is 1 to 1.5 grams per day, which is about half a teaspoon. And you will see noticeable improvements in energy stability and sugar cravings within 7 to 10 days, with full metabolic benefits appearing after 6 weeks of consistent use. Before we end, I want you to understand one thing clearly. Aging is a journey, not a destination of decline. Your morning coffee does not have to be a simple routine. It can be a daily act of purpose to reclaim your vitality. These 4 additions, lion's mane mushroom powder, creatine monohydrate, glycine powder, and Ceylon cinnamon, are your natural allies in the fight against age-related decline. The most important thing is not whether you are as strong as you were at 30. The most important thing is whether you still feel in control. It is when you wake up in the morning and you are not guessing how your body will respond today. It is when you step into the day with certainty instead of quiet worry. Sometimes it only takes a little concentrated natural fuel from your kitchen cabinet. So tomorrow morning when you brew your coffee, remember this conversation. Your body and your confidence are just one simple addition away in your cup. If this information helps you, if it gives you hope, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.